Hey there, welcome to my channel. I'm excited to work on this beautiful mid-century modern dresser. Despite being from around 1960, it's in pretty good shape overall. It has some nicks and dings and the finish is a little bit dull at this point, and it did take an unfortunate fall off some furniture movers that damaged the corner, but that should all be pretty easy to fix, and I'm excited to get working on this and give it a good refinish. Hey there, I'm Rachel, busy mama of 4 who loves bringing new life to old furniture. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're here. Okay, first things first, let's get this finish off. I'm using a combination of Green Easy and Smart Strip. These are both safer strippers to use. They're not going to have that incredibly strong fumes like something like Quick Strip has. It will take longer, but to me, the safety, it being safer, if I can speak, outweighs the efficiency. So the reason I'm using both is because 1, this is what I have on hand. 2, this I'm going to use on these flat surfaces. Maybe like I pull out the drawer, set them down, pour that on there. It's runnier, and so it's going to drip on your vertical surfaces. This is a paste. Works good on the flat surfaces too, but I like it on the vertical surfaces. I only have like a little bit of this, so I'm going to save it for my vertical surfaces. Yeah, it is super hot, and also, can sometimes tend to dry this out. And just because of how much work time I have right now, I'm just going to start with the top and sides, and then I'll progress to the rest probably tomorrow. Shake. This is kind of my stripping tin. I keep brushes in there just so I'm not throwing them away after each use if I don't have to. It's also good, you could pour stripper in there if you are wanting to then add it to a vertical surface. You could have it in here and then just be dipping your brush in and painting it on. All right. You always want to be generous, so you know for sure that it's getting on and working. I am super excited to get this old finish off of here and just get this walnut grain back to life. Cannot be pieces like this. Thankfully, the needs super minor repairs. Should be pretty easy to stain and color match and tone. So I am excited about this and super grateful that my fellow furniture friend was so generous to want to give this to me. I maybe even poured a little too much extra out here, but I'll spread it around and maybe pull out a couple drawers to put this on as well. Well, found another casualty to the drop. That drawer glide is busted, but thankfully, just with some wood glue and clamping, it should be good to go. I was going to point out that typically you would want to label the drawers as you pull them out, but these have already been labeled. So three's over there and the others are labeled underneath as well. You can see here, it's starting to kind of crinkle up some. It's good. You can see it's reacting with the finish. I also like to kind of take some excess from other spots to put on there just to keep it from drying out. But I'm going to let it keep working. This has only been about after 10 minutes. So using the Smart Strip now on the vertical side, you can see here that it's a paste, a white paste. Whoops. Don't want it on there. I think it slid off my brush because I had that layer of greenies on there. Oh goodness, maybe should have rinsed my brush a little bit. But just like the greenies, I will get a nice thick layer on here. Let it sit for a while. Usually let it sit for like an hour or so. The dwell time says it's 3 to 24 hours, but I just don't feel like it needs that long from my experience. Another little spot of veneer I'll have to clean up. So just in the amount of time that I went over to the other side to apply the paste, you can see how quickly it is activating and getting through that lacquer, whatever top coat's on there. And then here's what the top's looking like. So it's working well. This is an hour later. It's nice and bubbled up. It did dry out right there, but we'll see if it scrapes off. But it's looking good, so I'm gonna get to work. Look at that. Isn't that the craziest thing? After letting everything dry well overnight, it's now time for sanding. I'm starting with 80 grit. I am going to be really careful since this is veneered that I'm not going to sand through it with a rougher grit, and I'll hand sand around the edges. But after the 80 grit, I'll move up to the 120, then 180, and finish with 220. You can probably tell by the shadows, it is dark. I am going to glue up some spots though that need to be fixed before I go to bed. Got this crack here, and there's another, it's a drawer glide I need to glue up and fix, and thought it'd be good to do before I go to bed. But I got one of these little needles. It's really great for getting into tight spots. You could just, I've got the wood glue already in there. The needle could probably be a little bit smaller. Dripping a little bit. But if it gets too much smaller, it's the wood glue is so thick that it's hard to get it like through the needle.
So just kind of some of these areas I will just press it down there. And I'm going to come in with a damp towel to wipe back this excess glue because it makes it easier cleanup than trying to do it to get it off. I've got my big clamp here. Do my best for this one spot. You know what? Yeah. Be okay. You can see as it's squeezing, there's going to be some squeeze out of the glue. But you want that because you want it to get nice and tight. Okay, and then I'm just going to use these little clamps. There's these areas a little bit more. Hopefully that should help seal them up pretty well. And I'll wipe that back. All right, so I'm going to get in here, got my damp paper towel, wipe that really well, and then I'll let that sit overnight. All right, time for some veneer repair. I'm using this Mohawk epoxy putty stick in walnut. My first time to get it, I usually use the JB Weld brand because it's more easily accessible for me, finding it at Lowe's, but I got this off Amazon. There's Erin from Refurbished-ish. I always have a hard time saying that. She does a lot of MCM, and this is something she's used. I've heard really great things about the quality of Mohawk, so I'm going to try it out. This will be perfect on this walnut piece. So you want to make sure you cut equal parts. Don't just pinch it off. I think we're good. And then you just mix it up really, really well. Get it all uniformly in there, and then I'm going to fill this area that's missing veneer and then fix up the edges of all those drawers because there are several. And what's nice too is I will get a plastic baggie for this, but you just put a cap on there. Foil needs to go back on there. And then you can use the rest another time. I'm not gonna be afraid to put a little extra on here because it can just, I'm gonna sand it smooth. All right, I'm gonna have to use my finger. I'm going to stick to my glove. Prefer to use a gloved hand so I'm not touching the putty. It's just so hot out here. All right, I think that's nice and pressed in there. I'll let it dry overnight and sand it back. All right, it's next day. I pulled the clamps off of here and it is doing good. You can still, let's see if my phone, yeah. Still see the crack a little bit, but it's nice and sturdy. I went back and forth a lot on what kind of stain that I wanted to put on this. I just wanted to look good. A couple of people I saw use General Finishes gel stain, and I just didn't want to make that investment, honestly. So I went with kind of what I knew and what is more practical price-wise. So I got this one, Hickory, and Cognac. Cognac kind of has a little bit more of that red in it that walnut can tend to bring out, but this is very red. So I'm a little afraid to try that. I might need to use this on like the legs to help it blend in with the walnut since it's oak. And then parts of the base. So I'm going to start with this one. It's way more like putty-like than the Kona that I have, but I'm gonna try it out. Hopefully I like it. And if not, I should be able to remove it pretty quickly with mineral spirits. Okay, I'm gonna be muffled now because I'm gonna start it on. I would go for 51. So it says to let it stand 2 to 5 minutes. But it is pretty hot out here. So this looks. Okay. I think I like it. I can still see the grain pretty well. Get it on that crack there. This did say to stir really well before using, but I really don't see how it's going to stir very well, to be honest. Alright. Well, that's pretty good. Well, I think I'll go with that on the rest of the body and then blend and color match as I need to. I'm really hoping I'm not up against something, a big problem, but on the drawers and on the side, it, like after the top coat dried, you can see how it's like blotchy. I allowed, it was over 48 hours, it's more like, I guess, what, 56 plus, between when I applied the stain and putting on top coat. It was rainy here this weekend, so that could have affected it, but I don't know, I'm gonna put one more round on there, see after a second coat how it looks. The top looks amazing. So, and then the side, I don't know if the sun's gonna, it's a little blotchy too, you can kind of see. So, I don't know, we'll see. I'm concerned. If it does look funky, I will try toning it, and then if that doesn't work, then I'll have to strip those areas, which will make me so sad, but we'll see. Okay, I'm smiling, but not really inside. I've decided that I will go ahead and strip down the drawers and the sides. The top is thankfully fine, but just gonna have to strip them, restain them, and try again. So let's get to it. I don't know if any of you guys have had to do this before, but it is definitely disappointing. Hard not to think about all the time and effort and money with product, but this is how important lessons are learned. Sometimes it's the hard way. Goodness, it's with a stick. But I am motivated that I know the mistake I made, and I know it's gonna look really pretty once it's done. So there's comfort in that. drama continues. I was doing a light wet sand on this, and I noticed in some areas on the edge here that it was just kind of like peeling off the top coat. So I don't know what happened here, but you know, after I stain next time, I am going to put a precautionary layer of de-wax shellac on here before I do the water-based top coat, but I am going to have to remove this finish as well. I mean, look at that. Super frustrating. I do not want to deal with dry time, so I'm just starting with my scraper, and then I'll come in and sand. Give this a good quick wipe down in case there's any kind of sticky residue. Oops. Before I start sanding. Acetone will dry pretty quickly, so I'm not worried about having to sand here soon or wanting to sand here soon. I mean, you can see just how quickly it evaporates. It's definitely bringing some of the stain with it, which is good. Less sanding I'll have to do. It's gonna feel good when this one is finally complete. Definitely earning my money with it. So I think the stain's dry. I am going to first give it a coat with some de-wax shellac right here, 100% wax-free shellac. I'm going to dilute it down with denatured alcohol. I'm going to do about a 50-50 mixture. Just going to look at the measurements on the side here. I got my filter, so nothing gets down in there. All right, you want to give it a good stir. Whenever pouring out any paint or product, I like to put one of these guys on here. This is technically meant for a gallon, but I make it work. I hate how it gets all in that little crevice down here. I'm making a mess. I'm pouring a little too slow, trying to make sure I had it correct, how much product I put in there. Then this in there. We'll start with that. I don't think I'll need more than this for one coat, but we'll see. Probably mixed up pretty well on its own, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a stir. And this is something like you have to clean with mineral spirits. I'm planning on just putting this in a gallon-sized bag and trying to keep it in there for future use. I've heard of others using that. We'll see if it works out. If not, it's a $30 canister, which is still $30, but I didn't want to use it in my nicer Earl X just in case anything dries or, you know, all that. So it's just kind of a lower maintenance approach that I'm going to try. Since it's my first time to spray this product and all the issues I've already had, I am going to just test out this drawer front first. Thankfully, it dries super fast, so I'll be able to see just how it's doing and then hopefully move on to the rest of the dresser. Here's a little tip trick, at least for this one. I'm just turning it on. I'm just going to blow off any dust or particles on the surface. Do that. That is a little stubborn. I can always color match that later if I need to. Goodness, they're stubborn. All right, here it is about an hour or so later. It is looking really good. It's nice and dry. So I'm not gonna light sand it or anything because it's a pretty thin layer that I put on there. But I'll get my first round of top coat on, and then I can start doing my light sanding in between each round of top coat. You can see that the base frame is pretty splotchy. It's because it's made of poplar, so I'm just going to tone it to get it to match the rest, and I will seal that in with Mohawk's Easy Vinyl Sealer. And then for all my color repairs, I'm using Mohawk's Blend All Sticks, and then I will tone that and seal that in as well with the sealer. So the difference is subtle. You can see here, this is where I've done it. Done it to here, and then see that kind of demarcation there? That's the difference, but I think it makes a big difference in the end. While I have the drawers out, several of them just have some spots where I was staining on the side of the drawer, so I'm just gonna take some acetone and clean that up. If that doesn't work, I'll use mineral spirits. Got lots of options, but I want to get these all clean and looking nice. Goodness, that was a lot of work. But before we take a look at its finished state, let's take a quick look back at where we started. It just needed a good refinish and some repairs, and after a lot of work, here it is now. I have to say, I'm pretty proud of this one, especially with how much trouble I went through with that first round of top coat and having to basically strip the entire thing and redo it again. You know, it's a little bit of extra work to tone some of these areas to match, but I think it just makes it look so much better. And I did give the original hardware a refresh with a soft gold, and I think it makes a nice contrast. But I'd love to hear from you and what you think about this makeover. I really appreciate you watching, and if you like this video, I would greatly appreciate you hitting that like button. It helps get my videos out to more people. Thanks again for watching, and I can't wait to catch you on the next one.